The sources of the Indian constitution explain where the ideas, principles, and structure of the constitution came from. When India was preparing to become an independent nation, the leaders understood that governing such a large and diverse country would require a strong and well-designed constitution. Therefore, the members of the Constituent Assembly of India carefully studied many political systems of the world and adopted the features that were most suitable for India. The Constitution of India was not written in isolation. It was influenced by several countries as well as by earlier laws that existed during British rule. The most important immediate source was the Government of India Act 1935. Many administrative provisions of this act were later included in the Constitution. Features such as the federal system, the office of the governor, the structure of the judiciary, public service commissions, and emergency provisions were largely based on this act. In fact, a large portion of the administrative framework of the Indian Constitution developed from it. Another major influence came from the political system of the United Kingdom. India adopted the parliamentary form of government from Britain. In this system, the real executive powers lie with the Council of Ministers led by the Prime Minister, while the President acts as the constitutional head. Other important ideas taken from Britain include the rule of law, the concept of a single citizenship, parliamentary procedures, and the system of cabinet government. The Constitution of the United States also had a significant influence on India. From the American Constitution, India adopted the idea of fundamental rights, which guarantee essential freedoms to citizens. The concept of judicial review, which allows courts to examine the constitutionality of laws, was also inspired by the United States. The independence of the judiciary and the position of the Supreme Court were influenced by the American system. Another country that influenced the Indian Constitution was Ireland. From Ireland, India adopted the directive principles of state policy. These principles guide the government in making laws and policies aimed at establishing social and economic justice. Although these principles are not enforceable by courts, they are fundamental in the governance of the country. The Constitution of Canada also contributed important ideas. India adopted a federal system with a strong central government similar to Canada. The distribution of powers between the central government and the states was influenced by the Canadian model. The advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court also came from Canada. Another important influence was the Constitution of Australia. From Australia, India borrowed the idea of the concurrent list, where both the central government and the state governments can make laws. The concept of trade and commerce being free throughout the country was also influenced by the Australian Constitution. The Constitution of Germany inspired the emergency provisions of India. These provisions allow the central government to take special powers during national emergencies to maintain stability and security. The Constitution of France influenced the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity that are mentioned in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. These ideals originally emerged from the French Revolution and became an important philosophical foundation for democratic societies. Another important source was the Constitution of South Africa. From South Africa, India adopted the procedure for amendment of the Constitution and the method of election of members to the Rajya Sabha. Apart from foreign constitutions, the Indian Constitution was also influenced by India's own historical experiences, social conditions, and national movement. Leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and Rajendra Prasad played important roles in shaping the ideas that were included in the Constitution. The freedom struggle itself had already created a strong demand for rights, equality, justice, and self-governance. After nearly 3 years of discussions, debates, and careful drafting, the Constitution was finally adopted on the 26th of November 1949 and came into effect on the 26th of January 1950. It became the longest written constitution in the world and reflected both global knowledge and Indian wisdom. Therefore, the Indian constitution is often described as a unique document drawn from many sources, but carefully adapted to suit the needs of India. Instead of blindly copying other systems, the makers of the Constitution studied different models, selected the best features, and blended them with Indian values and realities. This is why the Constitution of India remains a balanced, flexible, and comprehensive framework for governing one of the most diverse nations in the world.